Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Exactly 7 years ago, Ethiopian PM Abiy took office. 7 years have passed, and today Prosperity Party is celebrating 7 year performance of the Ethiopian Prime Minister. I thought of doing a video on that. What did the Prime Minister achieve in the last 7 years? Did he achieve anything? Or did his rule of the last 7 years cost this country a lot? How to sum up, how to summarize his achievements or his failures? From a neutral perspective, I would try to analyze his last 7 years' performance. I believe that he has only one chance left. Which one chance? Why am I saying that he has only one chance left? That I'll explain at the end of this video. Because when you analyze the performance of a government, there are three ways to analyze the performance. Either you compare the incumbent and the predecessor, you compare the two governments. We can compare PP and EPRDF. The second method of analyzing the performance of a government, of a political party, is by measuring performance against promises. Whenever a political party comes to power, it shares its manifesto with people during electoral campaign. It uh, promises to bring about change, to make the lives of people better. And when it takes office, it is supposed to honor its commitments and promises. The second method is that we should compare the performance and the promises. People would say, Sajid, even in the most developed countries, political parties make big claims, they promise a lot, they don't implement what they commit to during electoral campaign. Yes, I agree. Then we are left with a third yardstick which can be used, especially for developing countries and underdeveloped countries. This criteria is applicable, I think, more to developing and underdeveloped countries. One of the main challenges for these countries is that these countries have no independent, transparent institutions. This is one of the major obstacles to their journey towards progress. Let's not analyze PM Abiy's promises and performance, because if you analyze on the basis of this criteria number two, obviously he failed because he made big promises back then in 2018, and he announced that an era of change had started, an era marked by political freedom, space for opposition party, space for media, accountability for people involved in wrongdoing, but everything was reversed. Whatever gains he recorded in the first 2 to 3 years have been reversed. Situation the same as it was in pre 2018 times. Same denial of space to opposition parties, same denial of independence to judiciary, to media, to human rights organizations, same usage of parliament as a rubber stamp, same fake dialogue with players in Ethiopia. Nothing has changed. So he could not keep his promises. When you compare EPRDF and Prosperity Party, you cannot just compare figures and stats, because I think sometimes world changes, and the change has impact on the performance of the governments too. I think that people say that again, US is on the verge of a recession. So last few years have been very challenging for the world, especially Russia-Ukraine war. That is why let's not compare the economic performance of this government and the past government. Important thing is, did PM Abiy manage to build any independent, transparent institutions or not? The man could not stop one war, Tigray war. I blame Ethiopian PM and TPLF. Both were responsible for this failure. The man could not stop second warlike situation. Amhara region gripped by a warlike situation. He failed or he wanted the conflict to continue in Ethiopia. That is why he failed to avert Tigray war. He failed to stop Tigray war. International prayers mediated. He failed to avert conflict in Amhara. He failed to stop conflict in Amhara, maybe waiting for third party to intervene. And now a third chance maybe would be his last chance. If armed groups, players in Ethiopia manage to unite, Northerners or others, if they manage to form an alliance and they start marching towards Addis directly, indirectly, and they get support from outsiders too, that will be last chance for his government to survive, because the forces might not reach Addis Ababa, but they'll unleash a storm of uncertainty, economic collapse, that the entire country will be seriously affected, posing a challenge to his survival as a leader. So he's left with the last option. If he manages to avert the formation of this alliance, he can go on. Otherwise, he will lead to another conflict for this country. As regards his building institutions, I think he crushed institutions. Not a single institution has been built in the last 7 years. This era of change produced nothing. It only produced infrastructure. It only produced corridor projects. It only produced resorts. It produced nothing in terms of institutions. What about National Dialogue Commission, which was established years ago, 2 years ago, to find lasting solutions to the problems faced by Ethiopians for decades? Nothing has been done. This National Dialogue Commission is a waste of time. What about Ethiopian Parliament? When election is not held in a transparent manner, Parliament's role just becomes insignificant. 2021 election was not transparent. It was like elections held in Ethiopia in the past too. 2015 election was the same too. 2021 election the same. No transparency. The parliament it produced is just a rubber stamp parliament. The institution is just endorsing the decisions of the prime minister of his kitchen cabinet. Judiciary, no judiciary. Judges are kidnapped from courtrooms. You see what happened in Amhara region. Judges complained there that they were being kidnapped from courtrooms, kept in custody at unknown locations, their whereabouts unknown. It means judiciary cannot perform independently in Ethiopia. Media, Ethiopian media, seriously biased. I agree that this media makes unfair use of freedom. It promotes particular ethnic hateful propaganda. I agree with that. But still, the government failed to give space to independent media to work in Ethiopia. No one is allowed to visit Valaga. No one is allowed to visit Amhara these days. No one was allowed to visit Tigray. Government imposes communication blackout in the areas where it conducts operations and people die and no one is there to report about it. So The uh, building of independent institution of media failed, miserably failed. National Election Board, another institution which matters a lot because this institution conducts election, but nothing has been done to make the institutions fully independent. Until judiciary and National Election Board of Ethiopia are independent, transparent election cannot be held in Ethiopia. Nebe under the thumb of the government. Opposition parties, no opposition parties, no politicians allowed to work, allowed to carry out peaceful political activity in Ethiopia. People fleeing Ethiopia, those who disagree with the government's policies, whether they are politicians, whether they are general, whether they are bureaucrats, they cannot survive in Ethiopia. That is why opposition politicians are based abroad. Only that opposition can exist in Ethiopia, which is part of the government. People like Bahano Naga can exist because he contested as opposition party, but he joined the government. Nama, opposition party, but part of the government. So there is no genuine opposition now, political opposition in Ethiopia. Now tell me one institution which Ethiopian PM Abiy's government has built in the last 7 years. Institution which is working in an independent, transparent manner and where there is no interference of the government. No progress so far. That is why the last 7 year period of the Ethiopian PM did not lay foundation for any major change in Ethiopia. You can build more roads, you can build more infrastructure projects, you can build more resorts, you can build more museums. Believe me, that won't lead to the betterment in the lives of people. Those who are well off, living abroad, living in Addis in top positions, yes, they would say, Sajid, this man has done a lot. You see, Addis Ababa has been transformed, but they should visit Amhara region. They should visit Tegarai. 6 million students are out of school there. What is the future of those 6 million students? Who is responsible? Just Fano responsible? Just TPLF responsible? No, all responsible. Everyone is responsible, including the Ethiopian PM Abiy's government. How many people are dying of hunger? Why is that? Numerous organizations are not allowed, they're not allowed to work freely because they expose the excesses being committed by the government. Compare the lavish lifestyle of channels, bureaucrats, politicians, religious leaders, and the lives of those living in Central Tigray, Tambian, living in Bugna, Warada, in Amhara, living in far off areas of Afar, living in far off areas of BG and Gambala. Nothing has changed. Change will only come once the ruler is ready to delegate powers. When he is willing to share power, when he is willing to empower his people. This government wants to seize as much power as it can. When the leader has this type of mindset, believe me, he won't bring about any major change in a country. People say, Sajid, you are unfair on the Ethiopian PM. You're an idealist. Yes, you need to be an idealist. When you analyze the performance of governments, you need to have some yardsticks which make sense. I mean, if you say that in before 2018, the uh, GDP growth rate was 5%, now 6%. This is not the way of comparing the performance of the governments. You need to take into account those factors which are going to be important and relevant in years to come. And that is institution building on that in that area. This government miserably failed. Its direction is not right as well. It's not working to build institutions too. So no future. Conflict after conflict, you'll see. Ethnic conflicts, border conflicts, religious conflicts, political conflicts, regional conflicts. No lasting solution found so far. Thanks for watching.